It's Friday, July 22nd, and this is your coffee break on the HAN Network. I'm Kate Czaplinski with a look at the latest local news and later a rundown of our biggest stories of the week. Donald Eng joins us today with the forecast, a Nutmeg Sports update, and a look back on this day in history. But first, in Darien, some $27,000 in jewelry was reported stolen from a Wildcat Road residence on Monday, July 11th. The complainant told police that she had stored several pieces of jewelry in a plastic container along with other items. Though transparent, the jewelry was not visible from the outside of the container and had been left in a closet. She told police she had stored the box back on June 16th before leaving for a trip, and upon her arrival back June 20th, the box was missing. During that time, contractors had been working to complete a new kitchen floor in the home. Believing that she had simply misplaced the container, the woman spent 3 weeks looking for those pieces. There were, however, no signs of forced entry at the home, and Darien detectives spoke to contractors and movers who had access to the home during the time of that suspected theft. And in other news today, a bullet struck a tractor-trailer parked at the southbound service area of I-95 in Milford early this morning, according to state police. The bullet struck the driver's side of the truck while the driver was inside the vehicle around 2 a.m., but the driver was not injured. The person who fired the shot was reportedly in a tan Ford Super Duty pickup, but the incident does not appear to involve any road rage. The investigation is continuing, and anyone with information is asked to contact state police at Troop G in Bridgeport at 203-696-2500. The former Monroe resident charged with embezzling from the Stepney Elementary School parent-teacher organization banking account in May 2015 has rejected the court's plea deal and will be taking the case to trial. While Sarah Chiarelli didn't deny embezzling from the PTO, she refuses to pay back a restitution sum of more than $45,000. The plea deal, in which she would not have to serve jail time in exchange for paying the PTO back in full, was rejected because Chiarelli does not agree with the restitution value. After a lengthy investigation by the Monroe Police Department Detective Division into the complaint of embezzlement of the Stepney PTO funds, detectives obtained an arrest warrant for the treasurer and past president Chiarelli back on May 20th, 2015. During the course of executing a search and seizure warrant at her residence in Monroe, she admitted to misappropriating PTO funds for her own use, but police say substantially underestimated the amount embezzled. An audit of banking accounts conducted by detectives revealed that Chiarelli made a total of 226 illegitimate transactions, totaling over $45,000 embezzled for her personal use. Those transactions were used for paying for household expenses, a Disney World vacation, over $14,000 in cash withdrawals, and close to $10,000 in checks. But you can get more on that story at monroecourier.com. And in other news today, the New Haven Register reports that the Derby businessman responsible for a baseball catcher's mask designed to help prevent concussions was the sole survivor of a deadly plane crash last weekend in New York. Jason Klein, president and CEO of Force 3 Pro Gear, located on New Haven Avenue, is the creator behind the Defender. The HAN Network interviewed him just this past spring about the mask. On July 16th, Klein was involved in a plane crash at Hogan Airport in New York that injured him and killed 3 others, according to Lisa Franco, a spokesman for Force 3 Pro Gear. He was returning to Connecticut after a gathering with friends and family to the Sloansville Airfield in New York. According to the spokesperson, Mr. Klein is being treated for his injuries at the Westchester Medical Center. That crash is currently being investigated by the NTSB and New York State Police. And in other news, the Connecticut Post reports that a Stratford man was arrested after police say he grabbed the female cashier's derriere while going through the checkout line at Home Depot. 73-year-old Robert Zanvetter of Whippoorwill Lane in Stratford was charged with 4th-degree sexual assault. Police said on Monday that Zanvetter was going through the checkout line at the Home Depot on the Barnum Avenue cutoff when he grabbed the cashier's backside and commented, "Hey, chickie." The cashier immediately complained to her manager, who then called police. While they were waiting for officers to arrive, police said Zanvetter apologized for his actions to the cashier, but said he didn't think it was a big deal. When officers confronted Zanvetter, they said he initially denied grabbing the woman, but then asked them if they had seen the surveillance video. When they told him that they had, he responded, "Well, I may have brushed against her accidentally." And a Milford man was arrested this week and charged with illegally possessing a firearm. Police said that on July 20th, they received a complaint that 25-year-old Dylan DeRosa of Satcham Street in Milford was in possession of a firearm. Further investigation showed that DeRosa is a convicted felon, which bans him from possessing a gun. A search warrant was executed at DeRosa's residence where the firearm was located and seized by police. DeRosa is charged with criminal possession of a firearm and altering or removing identification marks on a firearm. He's scheduled to appear in court on July 21st. And as a reminder to commuters in New Canaan, starting today, July 22nd, substitute busing will be provided between New Canaan and Stamford stations for select trains on Fridays and for all trains on Saturdays and Sundays beginning today through August 21st. Buses will operate 15 to 20 minutes earlier than scheduled trains, and Metro North asks that people please listen for announcements and check local or express bus service to your destination when boarding. Going to throw it over now to Donald Ang for a look at the forecast. Don.
Well, Kate, some decent news, but not great. Hot and humid out there today, so make sure you're drinking plenty of water before you go out Pokemon hunting. We're expecting a high in the mid-90s, 94 in Shelton, actually. Plenty of sun throughout the morning. Clouds, some scattered thunderstorms during the afternoon. Low of 73 tonight with thunderstorms possible early on, but clearing up after midnight. Tomorrow is going to be the hottest day of the weekend. Temperatures expected to be as high as 96 degrees and almost no cloud cover. Occasional breezes, 10 to 15 miles an hour, but not much to break up the heat. Saturday night will be clear, drop down to about 70, but at 8 p.m., temperatures still expected to be in the mid-80s. So, the AC is going to get a bit of a workout tomorrow night. Sunday, still pretty hot. Temperatures at about 91 degrees. Humidity will drop down a little. Lots of sun throughout the day and clear skies, wrapping up the weekend with some cloud cover rolling in overnight. So about 85 degrees out there today. Right now, heading up to the mid-90s. Hot day, but luckily very humid also.
Oh, great. Well, thanks so much, Don. We're going to take a break. When we come back, Don will take a look back on this day in history. He also has our Nutmeg Sports Update today, and we have some more news coming up after this. Have a sports injury or a slip and fall that needs immediate care? Coastal Ortho Express Urgent Care gives you direct access to an orthopedic specialist fast, without an appointment. Biking, golf, tennis, soccer, whatever the sports injury is, sprain or fracture, Coastal Ortho Express can help. Coastal Ortho Express Urgent Care, open Monday through Saturday, now in 2 locations. The iPark building at 761 Main Avenue in Norwalk and 36 Old Kings Highway South in Darien. Or go to coastalorthoexpress.com, like them on Facebook.
Walter Stewart's Market in New Canaan is your time-saving local shopping destination for the best of spring. Find many of your favorite products, from great specials on everyday items to the freshest organic produce, artisanal cheeses, and grass-fed steaks. Drop off your knives to be sharpened, grab a beautiful bouquet of spring flowers, and stop in next door for a wine tasting. Plus, their personable staff is always ready to lend a helping hand. So stop in to Walter Stewart's Market, 229 Elm Street today, or shop online at stewartsmarket.com.
You're watching the HAN Network, and you're not alone. Nearly 1 million people have watched our live sports, news, and entertainment programming since the network launched in August 2015. Advertise on the network that reaches Fairfield County, Connecticut's most engaged audience. Contact Advertising Director Jessica Murrin at 203-273-7312 or email jessica@han.network.
We're back on this July 22nd edition of your coffee break on the HAN Network, and it's time to take a look back on this day in history with Donald Ang. Don, what's up?
Well, Kate, it was a busy day for a man who was briefly at the very top of his profession. But first, we're going to go to 1796. The Connecticut Land Company names an area in Ohio Cleveland, after General Moses Cleveland. There he is right now. Moses Cleveland actually spelled his name Cleaveland. One explanation for why the spelling change was that in 1830, The city's first newspaper, the Cleveland Advertiser, was published, and the editor discovered that the headline was too long for the form and left out the letter A. So that was adopted by the public as the official spelling of the city. To 1923. Under arrest for car theft, 20-year-old John Dillinger joins the U.S. Navy in an attempt to avoid prosecution. That's him on the far left there. He was a fireman third class assigned to the battleship USS Utah, but deserted a few months later when his ship was docked in Boston. He was eventually given a dishonorable discharge and in 1924 robbed a grocery store for which he received a 10-year sentence. Upon his release from prison, he would embark on a legendary year-long crime spree. More on that soon. To 1991 we go now. Jeffrey Dahmer arrested in Milwaukee after police discover human remains in his apartment. Known as the Milwaukee Cannibal, Dahmer was a serial killer and sex offender who committed the rape, murder, and dismemberment of 17 men and boys between 1978 and 1991. He was eventually convicted of 16 murders, sentenced to 16 life sentences, but was beaten to death by another inmate in 1994. Finally now we go to 1934 for a familiar face. Look at this.
Set the wheels of justice grinding with a vengeance. 500,000 of these wanted notices went far and wide. They got him outside this motion picture theater. Wild excitement. Dillinger killed by federal agents commanded by Inspector Samuel Cowley, assisted by East Chicago, Indiana police. The belongings of public enemy number 1. 3 men couldn't carry Dillinger's collection of deadly weapons seized at various places. He had this automatic in hand when killed.
Yes, 11 years to the day after joining the Navy to try and escape from police, police caught up with public enemy number 1, John Dillinger, outside Chicago's Biograph Theater. Having been released from prison the year before, Dillinger embarked on a 13-month crime spree during which the Dillinger gang committed more crime than the Jesse James gang did in 15 years. All told, Dillinger and his associates robbed 11 banks and dozens of grocery stores for more than $300,000, broke out of jail multiple times, killed 7 police officers and 3 federal agents in 4 separate shootouts. Of all the colorful Depression-era criminals, Bonnie and Clyde, Babyface Nelson, Pretty Boy Floyd, it was Dillinger who was the most violent and the FBI's public enemy number 1. That is your look back in history for today, July 22nd, and I'm Donald Eng.
All right, Don, thanks so much. Now, you're also filling in today for Frank Granito with our Nutmeg Sports update, Don. So tell us what's up with that.
All right. Well, first of all, Thursday night at Quigley Field in Uxbridge, Massachusetts, it was Norwalk winning its 2nd consecutive New England Regional Baseball Championships, defeating Dover, New Hampshire for the 2nd straight year by a score of 13-3. It was actually Norwalk's 4th Mercy Rule victory in the 6-game regionals. Unlike last year, after winning the New England Regional Tournament, Norwalk will now advance to the Cal Ripken 10-year-old World Series to be played next month in Florida. Hearst Media has announced its lineup for the 2016 Connecticut Baseball All-Star Team, and once again, the FCAC is well represented. 11 players on the roster. Fairfield Ward has seniors John Natoli and Reese Maniscalco, who was also voted state MVP. The FCAC champs Darien Blue Wave had seniors Richard Brereton and Jamie Schofield chosen, along with coach Mike Scott, who produced the Wave's first state championship in 30 years. Norwalk senior Mike Gonzalez, the lone bear picked for the roster. Ridgefield, Staples, and West Hill each also had 2 players chosen for the team. A.J. Fabry and John Thrasher for the Tigers. Noah Yokui and Ben Kasparius for the Wreckers. And finally, John Spoto and Michael Licentia also chosen as All-Stars. Also, Section 1 Little League Baseball Tournament, Thursday night's matchup between Fairfield American and Stamford North. Just a formality, as both teams had already clinched a spot in Friday's championship game at Unity Park. That doesn't mean Stamford was happy, though, after losing their first game of the summer 8-5. The championship is scheduled for a 7 o'clock start tonight, and despite winning on Thursday, Fairfield will have to wait a coin flip to see who gets home field advantage. Friday's winner will advance to the 4-team double elimination state tournament at DeTorrey Field in Manchester. Its first game will be against either Avon or Berlin at a time to be announced on Wednesday. So busy sports weekend again. Lots of Little League and baseball, softball tournaments also going on all around, including some Connecticut teams in the regionals. So we'll have a lot more on that Monday morning.
All right, awesome. Thanks so much, Don. Well, getting back to a little more news today. A new kind of kayak, the pack-a-yak, which can be assembled and disassembled in minutes, has a strong Milford connection. The idea came after Milford resident Day more than 4 years ago when her wooden kayak suffered a mishap and broke. Her friend Doug Macro, who had a concept for a packable, easily transported kayak, asked if he could have her broken craft. She said yes, and he took it and put it back together in sections. Thus, the concept for the pack-a-yak started to evolve. Moore is one of 4 partners trying to get the pack-a-yak off the ground, or rather in production, with a Kickstarter campaign that aims to raise just over $427,000 by July 26th. But check out this video from Jill Dion to find out more.
Day Moore of Milford is part of a team that has created Pack-a-yak, a packable kayak that you can take apart, put together, and pretty much take anywhere.
Yeah, the real beauty of this too is that it goes together in under 5 minutes, and it disassembles in under 5 minutes. So there's no hesitation about leaving it set up or only wanting to assemble it once at the beginning of the summer and take it apart at the end of the summer. This is just boom, you're in the water in under 5 minutes.
We saw how to take the pack-a-yak apart at the end of the day, and then how to stack it back together like a nesting Russian doll so that you can carry it or roll it away from the water.
Very cool video there from Jill Dion, and you could find out more on that story at milfordmirror.com. In other news today, the question of whether or not New Canaan's first selectman office holder will continue to serve as chairman of the Board of Finance will be decided by New Canaan voters who go to the general election polls November 8th. The Charter Revision Commission recommended to the Town Council in April that the Constitution of the town be rewritten to remove the chairmanship of the Board of Finance from the responsibilities of any first selectman. The Town Council voted unanimously Wednesday night, July 20th, to approve that proposed charter provision along with 4 other charter revision recommendations for the purpose of placing it on the ballot for approval by the electors of New Canaan. Changes to New Canaan's charter can be made only by a vote of the electorate. And sidewalk sales, browsing and bargains, a farmer's market, a kids zone, and a bounce house. It's Summerfest in Ridgefield. The annual Summerfest Street Fair organized by the Ridgefield Chamber of Commerce is this Saturday, July 23rd, closing Main Street between Bailey Avenue and Prospect Street from 8 in the morning until 5 p.m. The festival, with its sales and activities, will begin at 10 a.m. and go until 4, but the block of Main Street will be closed to traffic for longer to allow for setup and breakdown. You can get a lot more on that great event at theridgefieldpress.com. But we're going to step out for a break, and when we come back, we're going to run down the top stories of the week across all of our HAN Network news sites coming up after this.
For more than 50 years, Triple S has been Fairfield County's expert service for carpet, upholstery, and drapery cleaning. We provide the best in repairs and in-depth restoration, understanding fabrics and how to properly clean and restore them. Our staff will come to your home to clean your wall-to-wall carpet to perfection. We can also pick up your fine carpets and bring them to our facilities. With locations in Norwalk, Stamford, and Stratford, Triple S will get the job done fast, big or small. At Triple S, you can count on our people as well as our cleaning. Find us at triplesclean.com or 203-847-8000.
I really wanted something that felt like a home. Coming from a big house, I wanted the feel of a home as opposed to a condo. New Canaan is 6 minutes down the road. New Canaan's a beautiful little town to walk around. I work in Westport. My commute is 20 minutes. It's close to Westchester, where my family is, so the location is ideal. There is no other townhome that compares in the area. This is where I want to be.
At Cabbage Patch Nursery School in Ridgefield, playtime is learning time. Using out-of-the-box activities and programs in science, dance, Spanish, Taekwondo, and so much more, learning is made fun. Aside from interactive classrooms, our center features a sensory room, computer lab, and a large outdoor space for playtime fun. Our carefully chosen staff believe in a supportive, safe environment and keeping you updated on your little one's experience. Cabbage Patch Ridgefield, helping shape your child's future. 29 Farrar Lane in Ridgefield. Call 203-340-1250 to register today.
what's happening up in Hartford and what's trending in the Nutmeg State.
Join Kate Czaplinski
And Josh Fisher
on CT Pulse live Wednesdays at 12:30 to find out.
We talk to the leaders and newsmakers while breaking down the stories you should be paying attention to each week.
With the help of HAN's editorial cartoonist Doug Smith, we take a humorous look at the news of the week. We talk about everything you were told you should avoid bringing up in polite company.
CT Pulse, Wednesdays at 12:30 on the HAN Network.
I'm John Kovach. I'm a newspaper editor. I'm a high school football coach. I'm a television presenter. And I want you to love fishing as much as I do. Tune in to Yankee Fisherman, Thursdays at 1 on the HAN Network. It's like going to the tackle shop without leaving your office.
We're back on this Friday edition of your coffee break on the HAN Network. And since it's Friday, we're taking a look at the top stories across all of our HAN news sites this week, including the most read story of the week was that a construction crane fell on a car on the Tappan Zee Bridge Tuesday, injuring 4 and closing the Hudson River Bridge in both directions. It happened shortly after noon when the crane in place to help build a long-awaited replacement bridge slammed across 7 lanes of the crossing, damaging the busy bridge and shutting it down for hours in both directions. The 4 people injured did not sustain life-threatening injuries, however. The bridge, which connects New York's Westchester and Rockland counties, is a constantly crowded passage over the Hudson River. A new replacement bridge has been under construction beside the old bridge, and several cranes have been helping to construct that new bridge. And another top story this week was Stratford police officers identified a motorcyclist who died Saturday in a crash on Main Street. Upon arrival at the scene, officers say that 49-year-old Dominic Ferranti was lying in the roadway unresponsive. He was traveling north on Main Street near Freeman Avenue at the time of that accident. Ferranti was transported to Bridgeport Hospital where he was pronounced dead. Police said that Police said that accident remains under investigation. And in New Canaan, a 19-year-old local man was caught and arrested by police after a foot chase from Park Street to Cherry Street Saturday afternoon. At about 2:40, police received a report of a Radio Shack employee chasing an individual suspected of stealing a $450 Bluetooth speaker. When police arrived in the area of the Park Street store, the suspect, Dean Tarshoon of Logan Road, was observed and the police began a foot pursuit. Police apprehended the man on Cherry Street across from Club Sandwich, handcuffed him, and took him to police headquarters. That incident occurred during the annual Village Fair and Sidewalk Sale. And Ridgefielder Ann McDermott, on vacation with her family in Nice, France, witnessed the truck attack on Bastille Day revelers last Thursday night from her hotel balcony overlooking those festivities. The family, her husband Rob Byrne and their younger daughter Gwen, had been to Barcelona before arriving in Nice, and they decided earlier in the week that they would watch the fireworks from their balcony because they were being set off right in front of their hotel. The fireworks had just ended, according to McDermott, and they were taking some family pictures when suddenly they could hear shots and people in the street start running. You can get a lot more on that story at theridgefieldpress.com. And tensions among Stratford Democrats have come to a head as the town's Democratic Town Committee chairman is asking for Beth DuPont to step down as town council chairman. In an open letter appearing in this week's Stratford Star, DTC Chairman Stephanie Phillips asked for DuPont to resign as chairman of the town's top board. Phillips calls for the resignation based on DuPont reportedly using an expletive when describing the town's south end during a recess of a June 13th council meeting and DuPont's subsequent apology at the July 11th meeting. Phillips writes in part, "The South End residents are not second-class citizens, nor should they be treated as such. Even worse is that your comments further the distrust and anger in residents who already face remarks because of their socioeconomic income level and or their ethnicity." The letter is supported by the other 4 Democratic councilors. And in Milford, sometimes people ask to see the inside of the Memorial Tower, a landmark in downtown Milford that was built in 1889. The suggestion made the editor at the Milford Mirror wonder just what was inside that stately 29-foot tower that has become one of the most iconic symbols of Milford. So Mirror staff borrowed the key and took a look inside, and you can check out that video at milfordmirror.com. And finally, our live coverage of the Waterford and Stanford's U13 All-Star Connecticut State Championship at Cubetta Stadium got a lot of attention and was one of our top web postings this week. Waterford ended up taking that game 11-1, but you can watch it on demand at han.network. Going to throw it back over to Don Ang for a final look at the forecast. Don.
Well, Kate, it's going to be a great weekend to either go to the beach or stay inside, actually. Going to be hot, humid most of the weekend. Right now, 85 degrees out there, heading up to the mid-90s, so make sure you drink plenty of water if you're heading out. We're expecting a high today in the mid-90s, lots of sun throughout the morning, clouds, possibly some scattered thunderstorms moving in the afternoon, low of 73 tonight, with thunderstorms also possible early on, but clearing up after midnight. Tomorrow, hot, 96, maybe 97, with almost no cloud cover depending on where you are. We'll see occasional breezes of about 10 to 15 miles an hour, but nothing that will put a dent in that kind of heat. Saturday night, clear skies, 70-degree low, but that's going to be closer to midnight. At 8 p.m., temperatures will still be in the mid-80s. Sunday, still hot, about 90, 91 degrees, but the humidity will be dropping down a little bit, so that's probably going to be the best day of the weekend. About 90 degrees. Moderate humidity, lots of sun throughout the day, clear skies overnight also, maybe some clouds rolling in as we get to early Monday morning. So going to be hot out there today for all the Pokemon hunters, so be careful, stay hydrated.
All right, thanks so much, Don. Well, we're going to wrap things up here on your coffee break. Of course, we'll be back Monday at 11, wishing you all a safe and great weekend.